Welcome everybody to our Bill and Ted Excellent Adventure Q&A with the princesses. And as far as I know, this is the only time that it's been like a movie and a Q&A with just you guys.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes.
So the first ever
It's
Q&A right after the movie.
Most historic.
And I wasn't even sure if I could make it, but I said I have to do this. Yeah. I have to do this because I don't know if I'll do it. There'll be another chance. And that's why my mom's here. She just happened to be coming up from Baja. I said, Mom, you want to stop by in Santa Ana?
I want to thank again the Frida Theater for allowing us to do these events. And all of you guys for coming out and showing up. Diane and Kim for agreeing to do this.
Oh, it's fun, yeah.
And thank you everyone for coming and waiting this late and staying.
Obviously, this is one of the most iconic movies of the 80s. How does it feel to be part of that history among cinema?
It was a joy to watch after all these years. It really was. Mm-hmm. I mean, I haven't seen it on the big screen in a long time. I mean, maybe.
We saw it. We saw it in Santa Monica. Remember when Alex was there?
Yes, that's right. We did see it with Alex, which was really lovely.
And Keanu was supposed to come, but he was sick.
Yeah, yeah. But I think the film still holds up. Although I will say that I kept saying to Scott that a lot of people, younger people, were probably watching it, going, "What's that thing they got in?" And what's that, like, what's that thing they were calling on it? Like, there's so many, or inside jokes, like there's a lot, like Bon Jovi, like we know who Bon Jovi is, but a lot of the jokes, I'm like, oh, they would be lost on maybe perhaps a new generation. But, there is some young people, I don't know if they're still here. Yes, you, young lady, who made my bracelet. Did you enjoy it? Even then, she enjoyed it. Thank you. I love hearing that.
It's interesting where Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure is a historical comedy, yet in itself, watching it tonight, it is history itself.
It is. Mm-hmm.
That's true. That's
what it says on the back of. I have the only sweatshirt that exists from the cast and crew. I don't know why I kept it all these years, but I did, in a bag, and it's in perfect shape. But on the back of it, it says, "We made history."
I'm so glad you kept that.
I know.
You could take a picture and put it online.
Well, I did. It's on my X account somewhere on Bill and Ted's Day. I model it every Bill and Ted's Day.
Oh, that's awesome.
It gets sexier and sexier.
I think one of the things that really keeps this in the zeitgeist of popular culture is something that you mentioned, that it's an innocent film. Mm-hmm. They're just there to try to not to go to military school and pass a report, which should be the most simple thing, yet it becomes this wild and out of control, crazy affair. And yet we still don't actually see what happens beyond that, except that you guys show up at their place later on.
Yeah, and that was not even the original ending. The original ending, we ended up at the prom.
At the prom, and we were prom queens and prom kings.
Yes.
But we did get to go to the prom.
Was that, did you film that, or was it just...
We filmed it, and the film is lost. That footage is lost.
Which is so sad. But we do have some pictures from it.
I pulled those pictures.
Yeah, I have a couple of them.
You probably stole them from me.
I did not know this. I've watched this film hundreds of times. I didn't know there was an alternate ending where you guys went to prom.
There was.
And we've all missed it.
Well, what happened was they made that ending. We shot that ending first in Arizona, and then they decided later on that they wanted to reshoot it because they wanted the girls in the band. And I don't know if they did that with the intention of making another Bill and Ted's, but I do know that they decided, okay, we definitely want to have, the girls in the band. The thing that was amazing to me is, well, first of all, when we watch the film, it brings back such wonderful memories because we actually were flown to Rome to shoot the England scenes. Mm-hmm. And it really took me back because the place that we shot, that castle, was a museum. So when we that room with the bed, that was a museum piece, and we've got to go behind.
With all the original
furniture. It was very
beautiful.
They really. When upon watching it this time, I thought, oh, how they really had so many locations, and the authentic locations. It's not CGI, right? It's. So that was a very exciting thing as actresses to be able to be brought places that are authentic and were real castles and just beautiful.
That location scout's like, we don't need to do England in England when we can go to Rome.
Right.
And somehow he pitched that and it worked.
Yeah.
Well, they location scouted ahead of time, and there were so many beautiful spots where they had the Socrates scene. That was actually, let's see, creepy evil ruler back in the World War II. Mussolini. That was the Mussolini building.
Wow.
So that's where they shot the Socrates stuff. But that was a beautiful, I mean, the thing is, I think about this film compared to the other Bill and Ted's, is this one utilized production design and the locations and the authenticity of even Diane and I's wardrobe. That was so much more classic of that time and felt more princessy. They really made us feel princessy. I mean, the one thing I would change, because this was my first film, I was very young, I didn't know what to do, so I just followed Diane around. Just like, whatever she did, I did.
We were just twin sisters.
Yeah, well, it was just like, yeah, I was just kind of very shy hanging around. But yes, it's like the one thing I would have done differently is I was obsessed in the late 80s with crimping my hair. And I was like, why? And so if I did anything, you wore a long wig, right?
Yeah, for the first scene, yeah, long wig. Yeah, and then the last at the end was my hair.
Yeah, the last was my hair. But I wish I would have worn a long red wig. I think it would have looked so much better. Like if I had a lot of money, I would just say, can you go CGI my hair?
I'm sure there's a fan out there that can do that for you. You can add that in post.
Yeah, well, thank you. Almost Grok can do it with Grok's imagery.
Yeah. You were saying that you auditioned, you thought you were going to be Joan of Arc.
Oh, this is funny. So I had finished Better Off Dead, and I was French, as you know this, and so I was thinking, of course they're going to have me be Joan of Arc, right? Absolutely, and I didn't even know that Joan of Arc has absolutely no dialogue in the film. I mean, she says merci, I think, once, but that's it. So when it came to audition, I thought, okay, do you want me to do Joan of Arc? And I think originally they were looking at me for Missy, or I was reading for Missy, I think.
They had me reading for Misty.
Right, because Missy was the only one with dialogue, right? Mm-hmm. But then they asked me, can you do an English dialect? And I said, of course I can do an English dialect. I can totally do one. And they said, good. And they said, would you like to play one of the princesses? And I went, I don't even know that there were princesses in the script, because the princesses were always referred to as the princesses. Although I was Princess Elizabeth in the script, the guys never say it. They never say Princess Elizabeth, So because of that, I didn't even know that the princesses were really a big part, pretty much. I mean, or an important part. And
you were foreshadowed and then a payoff at the end.
Yes, yeah, we didn't know, but yeah, it was. What I also think is interesting is because we shot the first and we thought we were going to the prom, and then they said, okay, you're in the band, and that we were like, oh, that's great, because maybe we'll come back. So
yeah, we didn't know.
Nope.
No.
And no.
I wrote my first line, because I write scripts now and produce them, but I wrote my first line. I asked George Carlin, George, I feel like I need to say something here after we went shopping. I said, and something called credit cards. So I wrote that.
Yeah, I remember that.
And George thought it was funny. Then he had to pass it by Ed. And then later, Ed gave George the credit. I'm like, oh my God. One line I wrote. But I was going to play Misty. And then right away when I walked in, they just said, we want you to be a princess. I didn't even do Misty's audition. I just did a princess audition. So it was very fun. I didn't know who anybody was. Yes, it was a beautiful experience. I can't even tell you like how amazing, like I hadn't been here very long from growing up in the Northwest.
It was very quick. I mean, it was a, and we're in, like we auditioned, and then they said, okay, we're going to do this, and then we became sisters instantly, and we were in the honey wagon or something.
Yeah,
and,
we did. And
hi, we're sisters. Oh, okay, so.
And remember Keanu hid in the bathroom.
Yes, yeah, I remember this.
Yeah.
The boys came into our honey wagon.
And they would hide in the bathroom. We were changing. They would run out. Boo!
That was get out.
And that's for both Alex and Keanu, that was an early film where they were not lead actors at that moment.
No, they didn't have a lot of confidence, but they had a lot of fun. They were really funny, and that's the thing about this film is, I call it the endurance factor, because films like E.T. or Close Encounters or Ferris Bueller's Day Off or St. Elmo's Fire and these 16 Candles, John Hughes, those films have something that I want to watch them again in a year or two. There's hardly any films that are being made now that have that endearing factor. So I have this whole process that I'm doing now in judging scripts that I get is what's the score for the endearing or enduring factor, because now through AIs you can isolate what that was, and it's just this genuine.
There's a sweetness to this.
There's a sweetness, there's a heartfeltness, there's a connection. It doesn't matter how fancy or technical you are or how much you spend, but when two characters connect and you feel for them, like even with the E.T. is the perfect example, you feel for this alien and the whole audience falls in love with him. We don't have a lot of films like that anymore.
And I also want to bring up another point about Bill and Ted's. I was told that a lot of people watched Bill and Ted's in high school, in school. The teachers would show their students. Anybody here ever seen Bill and Ted's in school? You saw in school? Teachers are so happy that movie was made so that they can show it in school because of the historical figures. It was like an education base. So I've heard a lot of people come to me and tell me, even my teacher showed it in class, which was, I think, an achievement, because a lot of times, we grew up in a time where that wasn't happening, and all of a sudden, people were showing films in school, and it's just a lovely gift to have that it be an endearing film. The characters are adorable. We love Bill and Ted. They are so sweet and so innocent, and I don't know. I'd love to hear the audience too. Your thoughts.
Oh, the one thing that I wanted to mention is, like I said, I just started acting at that time. I didn't have much on my resume. Maybe some church plays, that was exciting, but I'd done some commercials, done some like MTV videos. And so this was my first movie on my resume. I remember giving it to a casting director, and she said, "Oh, no, you need to take that off your resume." And I'm like, "Why?" And she said, "Because I've heard it got really bad ratings. The audience test scores were terrible." And
she was wrong.
Well,
wrong.
Right. It's like they reshot the ending, brought it up, and then it was #1 at the box office for 4 weeks in a row, and it was just sort of a surprise for everybody. And even when I did Seinfeld, nobody thought Seinfeld was going to go, but it was a lesson that Hollywood and studio executives don't really know what they're talking about.
One thing that I enjoyed so much about watching it again was how smooth the entire thing just goes so quick. Mm-hmm. And you don't realize you've sat through a movie and suddenly you're at the presentation at the end and you're like, oh man, there's no more. Like, it's already over. Yeah. But the entire movie just flows really well, really smooth. You go from objective to objective to objective, and you're carried along the whole time. And especially with such a huge amount of supporting characters that all have their own little bits. and yet every one of those bits shines, and you remember them very distinctively.
They are very distinct. That's a really good
Yeah.
point.
And Jane Weedland as Joan of Arc. I don't know if everyone's aware. She's one of the Go-Go's. Like, it's I've had her at a convention, and she loved doing that film. That was one of her favorites.
And then the three, there were three people who were like on those lifted chairs, who were like the future gods. They were major musicians. I
Yeah,
think
what band was that? Do you remember?
one from the Motels, I think it was Martha. The Tubes? Somebody from the Tubes? Huh? Yes.
Yeah.
And Clemens, right?
It was a
Yeah.
music in joke that they were putting in
Right.
there. That they were like, people will get this eventually, and we still do. We're talking about it right now.
And boy, oh boy, do we need movies like this right now more than ever in our country.
Yeah, did you ever wonder? I kind of wanted Bill and Ted to rule the world right now. I was like, we could really use Bill and Ted right now. Maybe they should do some time traveling. And,
When they were
no.
showing that this is the excellent future, I'm like, it's not our future.
Ouch.
Yes. With it, such a fun, such a fun 80s film. It was 88. You were at the end of the 80s, going into 90s, and yet everything was still very much in Technicolor brightness and fun. Everything was positive about this film.
Fun,
The most
fun,
negative
upbeat.
thing was that his dad wanted him to go to military school.
Yeah, that had to be the obstacle.
Yeah, that was the worst thing in the world that could happen to him is he goes to military school. And everything else kind of shines through.
Yeah, and they did such a beautiful job with it. But it was still to this day one of the best experiences I ever had, I would say. Yeah.
I was wonderful. And we have stayed friends since.
The other thing is, which
Yeah.
is really ironic, it was my first film, and the first person to play my sister in a film has the same birthday as my real life sister.
Funny, we have February
February
11th
11th.
next week.
Okay, we all have to wish her happy pre-birthday
Oh.
since
Yes.
she's on stage now. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday
Birthday
to
to
you.
Happy
Happy birthday
birthday
to
to
you.
Happy
Happy birthday, dear
Diane.
Diane, dear Princess Elizabeth Joanna.
Happy
birthday to you.
Now that was most excellent. Thank you very much.
I had no idea that was going to come up, or I would have brought out a cake if that was going to be the case. Does anybody want to ask some questions? We got some time for questions, but I cannot see a hand. I kind of see a hand. We have a floating microphone, and it's going to come over to you right now.
Awesome. Can you share a little bit about what it was like working with George Carlin?
That was the first thing I told Diane when we were watching it. I was like, I miss George Carlin so much.
Well, George, I can tell some stories.
This one, yeah.
George was really laid back, funny, but like a lot of comedians that really see the world for what it is, and they see stuff that nobody could actually name but is going on, they kind of dig below the layer. He was very deep in thought. In talking to him many times, many conversations with him, it was dark and it wasn't funny. It was just these observations of the world, and I would actually get a little depressed after talking to him because he had I was so young and he was much older, but he could be so funny. And Diane, do you remember when you and I and Alex and Keanu, George, and the makeup, we toured the Vatican together, remember?
Yes.
So touring the Vatican with George Carlin, Keanu, Diane, Alex, that was, and that, yeah.
Most epic.
It was epic.
Most
It was
triumphant.
epic, and I almost got kicked out because my skirt was too short.
I remember this, actually.
So Keanu gave me his jacket, so I had to wrap that around my waist, and I got away with it.
Yes, because you can't go to the Vatican with a short skirt.
Yeah, just for
It's
future knowledge.
Catholic rules, if you guys aren't totally aware. Yes.
And
I forgot that George went.
yeah, George was with us, and then we went on the Spanish stairs afterwards, and we sipped espressos. But then when we did the reshoots in Pacific Palisades, that's where the band was. George, they're doing a long time for a setup, so George had me come in his trailer, and we just sat, and he just like poured his heart out to me in such a personal way. I wish, back then I would have had a smartphone, so I could have recorded everything he said, because he was just saying such life profound, changing things to make this young girl look at the world differently. And yeah, he was very intense, and he was very kind. He invited me to many of his shows. I think I got closer with him than you did.
Yes. Yeah, I just remember that I knew who he was, and I loved him as a comedian, and I was shocked how genteel and smooth spoken and polite he was, because that wasn't his stage persona, So I think that's what's really interesting is a lot of comedians, their stage persona could be very bawdy, but in real life they could be very shy and very, soft and polite. They know how to behave in public, but that's their persona. But I adored him. I mean, he's just a lovely man, and I feel so grateful that we worked with him.
The Bill and Ted in '88 followed his HBO specials. So if you really want to get that look of that
I didn't
time
know
period,
that.
he was very big with the HBO specials, and then he went right into the Bill and Ted.
Oh, I did not know that.
Any other questions? We got more questions. We have to. Oh, there's an arm. Someone's raising their arm over there, and there comes the microphone.
Thank you. So all these years being a fan, I had no idea there was a prom scene that got cut out. Was there any other stuff that you shot that might have not made the film and it's floating around somewhere?
We shot more with the horses and more when they got away.
Yeah.
We shot a lot more of that, but that wasn't in.
And we had a situation when we were in Rome where the balcony scene, they suddenly went, oh, you guys, we need another outfit.
And I had them. Yeah, we used my nightgowns.
Right, because I remember we were like, they didn't have another costume for us, and we was like, but they wanted to do that shot on the balcony, and so they were your petticoats or your dresses?
I always dressed kind of like a little fairy in the woods. My mom can tell you, just running around in the woods of Idaho. And yeah, we did that, but anything else, I would say, let me think.
The fact there was a prom still blows me away.
The prom scene was really, really good, and that's...
Were we dancing at the prom? I know. The best thing I thought about the prom were that the guys' tuxedos were cut off at the knee with with the high top socks and sneakers. So my thought is, if that scene ever had made it, tuxedo shops would have been really in trouble, because people would have absolutely had the trend of cutting at the knee with, they were all dressed up normal here, but then this was cut up with the high tops. It was brilliant. So I think you have the photo of that.
I have it, yeah. The one thing, it was my first film, like I said, and it was our first scene that you and I did. And again, I was so new as an actress. I did something so ridiculously stupid that how Bill and Ted walked were like total goofballs. They walked with no grace and walked kind of like da 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 da, like what's going on? And I remember how Alex kind of like Alex would walk really funny, and then I was supposed to be like on his arm and like beside him, and so I just started mimicking his walk, and then Stephen Herrick, the director, came. He said, "Kimberly, you do not need to walk like that. Do not walk like Alex.
You are a princess.
You're a princess. What are you doing?" And so that was my first note from a director.
Wow. All right. We have any other questions? We got some over here. That's awesome. I'd love to get the audience involved a little bit.
Hi there. I was wondering, so when you think about the movie just getting like a bass pitch, it sounds less like a movie and more like a PBS special, just, two kids time travel to get their history report. So when the project came across to you guys, did you kind of see this being like a really fun project, a good one, or were you like, it's a credit and a paycheck?
Oh, I didn't even read the script. I just had sides. I didn't know what it was about. Again, I was so brand new. I had a sports agent because I did a lot of sports in school, gymnastics and so forth. I did a lot of commercials, and so my sports agent got me this part. And all they did back then was send you faxes. They didn't send the whole script. Then I got the whole script, and I still couldn't quite understand it. But what about you? Did you get the whole script?
I actually liked it because it was so innocent, and it was nothing gratuitous in it. There wasn't even any bad language. It was kind of a Better Off Dead experience for me. I was like, wow, because they would put a lot of stuff in films that was gratuitous or bad language or violence to get people into the theaters to see something that you couldn't see at home at the time. But now here's a film that didn't have that, which was very refreshing for me as an actress. I was like, oh, I like this.
But did you get to read the script?
Yeah, I read the script. But I have to say that I really liked it. And I thought, well, you know, I really actually, we had, I don't know, as far as I remember, we had a lot of hope for the film. So when suddenly we kept asking, when is it coming out? When is it coming out? And we found out later it was buried. You know, we did it in 1986.
No.
Or 87. 87?
87 and 88.
Because I think it was 87 because it came out in 89.
I know, but we did the pickup shots in 88.
Right, the later, yeah.
Yeah,
that's right.
were going to shelve the whole thing because they were saying it's not going to test well, and critics.
Shocking. I was like, we were like, when is it coming out? When is it coming out? And they kept going, oh, well, we don't know. So I am so grateful that they picked it up. So in answer to your question, I saw it as a really fun, light, you know, happy film that was different than anything I'd ever read.
That also explains why Keanu's hair was so different in the garage than
Oh yeah,
during the
because
film.
it was a year apart,
Yeah.
and he was having a fit about his hair. I remember that. He was like really mad.
An interesting bit of trivia that Diane told me while we were watching the film. In the movie, when they're doing the Ziggy Piggy, the two guys that come up with the ice cream and do the song and everything else, those are the writers. And Bill and Ted is those dudes. It's them writing about themselves as Bill and Ted, and those are the writers for the film.
The blonde and the dark-haired guy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that they were also the cavemen.
I thought
Yeah.
so too.
Yes.
I thought so too.
They were.
It was the first,
They are.
This was the first time I saw that part, and I went, I bet that's Ed.
Yeah, they had to get in on it.
Oh, that's awesome. Do we have any last questions here? There we go. We're a couple there. If you just 1 minute. There, he's coming.
Thank you. So outside of filming, did you get to hang out with Alex and Keanu, like go have lunch or dinner or something like that?
Yeah, we had days
Other
off.
than the Vatican trip?
Vatican, the Colosseum. We'd go shopping together.
Yeah, we did go shopping, I think, yeah.
Yeah, I remember Keanu hated the coat that I chose. And
Well, we hung out in Rome together because we were there for how long? A week or?
I don't know, like 10 days, I
Yeah.
think. And then I don't know what they were shooting. What were they? Did they shoot the Napoleon stuff in Arizona, or did they shoot it? I don't know. Well, the water slide had to be somewhere in
Yeah.
California.
Yeah, I think it was San Dimas.
Oh,
Wasn't it
did they
the-
shoot
yeah,
in
the
San
water-
Dimas?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the most excellent water slides in
Yeah.
San Dimas.
Oh, okay. I
That's
didn't know that.
It's a national treasure.
So we're just so glad that it came out, didn't get shelved, and part of the reason it did get shelved, Diane, is because De Lorenzo.
De Laurentiis, yeah.
Yeah, De Laurentiis.
He didn't get it.
No, he was going bankrupt, and Orion bought it, and that is part of the reason.
Yeah.
But I remember also that when Dino De Laurentiis saw the script, he didn't understand the humor, and because he was Italian, so he was like, I don't know, what is this? I don't know these.
Yeah, but it was so great that Orion picked it up and released it. That's how it got released.
Well, and also, did you guys get to like watch any of the scenes that maybe you weren't in that you got to like, watch on the sidelines or anything like that?
I did. Did you?
I don't think I saw any dailies. I remember working,
Oh,
but I
no.
didn't. Did you see dailies?
I didn't see dailies, but I got to watch what the whole Alex and Keanu scene when they are kind of going down in the kitchen, and Alex did this whole scene, and I was kind of hiding behind something so I could watch the scene. And yeah, I watched that whole scene. I watched them. They wanted me to watch them. And Alex said, "How do you think I did? How do you think I did?" I'm like, "You did great," because he was so emotional about Ted.
And Alex kept trying to direct. Like he would be like give suggestions and direction.
He's
like,
a great director, that's why.
Yeah, it's we back then. Even then, Alex was like,
Alex was
what if we do
directing
the
back
scene
then.
like this? And Keanu would be like, yeah, that's a great idea. And like, I mean, they were so connected as friends that between shooting, they would have these conversations of what that this would be really cool. Right?
And one thing I always find interesting about, especially rewatching the film now, is Alex is the lead dude.
He was.
Keanu is just the sidekick.
Yeah, Alex makes all the decisions.
Yeah.
Keanu keeps going back to Alex. Ted goes to Bill for all the answers. What do we do, dude?
Yeah. It's really the Alex Winter show on this one.
It is.
is.
Well,
That's
he's got
beautiful.
first billing, Alex. I mean, and Bill. But yeah, then things started changing for Keanu in his career when we got back.
I just heard that Keanu was up and coming when we started working together. From like people would say to me, like agents and stuff, that he had a career going and he was up and coming, and because I didn't really know who he was when we did it, but he was adorable. And that kissing scene was very hard. We had to do it over and over again. So bad at that. I just kept messing up, and then well, sorry about that.
That's awful.
I hung out with Alex. Went back up to northern Italy after the film, and he went to go do Mary Shelley's that.
Right.
Remember?
Right.
It was like another
That's
period
right.
piece. So Keanu and I hung out, mostly just as friends, and he would insist on giving me rides on his motorcycle that would always stall and break and left a lot of burns on the back of my legs.
How many women and girls would have killed for that?
Yeah.
Well, he also invited me to go travel around Europe with him at the end of the movie, and I was too scared. I didn't know him. Like, no, but...
Dang.
Awesome. Well, once again, everybody, thank you so much for coming out.
Thank you guys for
to
coming
our,
out.
Our Q&A of Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventures
Thank you.
with the Princesses. And please remember to always be excellent to each other.
Be excellent.
And party on, dude!